A normal wedding photo. There's help written on his shoes. A family at the dinner table. Is that a ghost? A normal tree. Did you see the spider? Another normal. Is that a ghost? Two friends in a picture. Is that Chucky?
There are some crazy things happening in the world right now. A hospital in Maine had a computer system error that sent death letters to over 500 living patients. Kim Kardashian blamed ChatGPT for failing her law exams. The Louvre's video security system password when the heist happened was Louvre. The Prime Minister in Japan says that she's sleeping only 2 to 4 hours a night amid criticism over the entire work culture of the country. A man who cryogenically froze his wife is now facing criticism after finding new love. There is a new app that lets you talk to AI avatars of deceased loved ones. The inventor of Linux says vibe coding with AI is okay, unless it's used for anything that matters. A woman's entire driveway was stolen when she was trying to sell her house, and now she's just left with a rocky road as she tries to find who did it. Microsoft has publicly warned that their new AI software installing on Windows 11 could install malware onto your computer. The tech company Cognizant now is saying that they're going to monitor their employees' laptops and determine them idle after only 5 minutes.
People are losing their minds after a 200-year-old castle was put up for sale for about half the price. You can buy some one-bedroom flats in London. The castle is located on a Scottish island called the Isle of Rum. Come on. It has 20 bedrooms. It was once visited by the king, and you even get to keep all the historical pieces inside, including the demons. Not only was it built all the way back in the late 1700s, meaning it's seen some shit, but it's so cool that it even had public tours going on there for a while. I mean, may I suggest it being a perfect home for those who have many enemies, as you even have lookout towers so you can see the ops coming from miles away. Now, there are some downsides. The heating might be a little expensive. The cost of monthly exorcisms will probably add up. And if you did want to demolish shit and build a multi-story car, permits might be a little tricky to get a hold of because it's a Category A listed building, meaning it's of national importance or whatever. But, you know, if you and the homies wanted to take one bedroom each, you split it, that's £37,000. Because the total price for all of this castle, £750,000. I mean, you may have to defend it against White Walkers one day, but I think it's a bargain.
Mommy told me something a little girl should know. It's all about the devil.
Do you guys want to see a video from the dark web? This is technically the first ever video from the dark web. This video is called Blank Room Soup. I'm going to play it and we're going to talk about it after it's finished.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Saul's Balls in the building.
Some of you may be confused on why he's crying while he's eating the soup. According to many theories surrounding this video, he's actually eating the remains of his wife and daughter. And these people that dressed up as this thing right here, put them in that soup. There's a second person dressed in that costume that appears later in the video. And as he's crying, they're both patting him and comforting him. However, none of this is actually proved to be real or fake. So I'm going to err on the side of skepticism and say it's not real. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. And comment for what you want to see next. Also, there's apparently a part 2 of this video. Let me know if you guys want me to post that.
If you scare easily, this is not the video for you. In 2001, 4 teens decide to explore an abandoned mansion that locals believed a satanic cult was using to perform sadistic rituals. They go in through a basement window and find a piece of raw meat sitting on the ground with stones around it. It creeps them out, but they keep going. They make it to the first floor, but it's so hot up there they think something's on fire and they run away. The next night, they're feeling brave and decide to go back to the mansion and explore the top floors. They were not ready for what they find.
Sauce, the boss in the building.
Experts believe that the teens stumbled across a satanic cult performing a ritual.
You'll never hear this sound the same way ever again. 15-year-old Estella was strolling down an aisle at the toy store when she heard an odd whistle similar to an iPhone notification. She thought nothing of it. Maybe it was someone's phone in another aisle, so she continued to shop. Minutes later, she heard the whistle again, but this time, it was much closer. She turned and saw a man staring at her, grinning sinisterly with a bright white smile. He spoke. "Hi, do you want to be my friend?" Something about that smile set Estella on edge. She was terrified. She weakly said, "Yes." "Well, let's take a picture together because we're friends." Before she could reply, he held up a smartphone and leaned close to her face and snapped the photo. She then told him she had to go and that her dad was waiting on her. As she quickly walked away, she turned and saw his head cocked to his side with a grin across his face. But this wasn't the last time she heard that whistle. Like and follow for part 2.
This is actually insane. A 23-year-old woman faked her entire pregnancy using a prosthetic baby bump, faking ultrasound scans, and even using a mechanical silicone baby to deceive her friends and family after giving birth. Bro, somehow she even convinced the baby's father. How? Now, pretending to be pregnant was the easy part. In public, she'd always wear a prosthetic, and online, she would post ultrasound scans and even come up with convincing details, like some of the tests showed that her baby had a heart defect. She had a gender reveal, a baby shower, and her loved ones turned up with expensive gifts like prams and a car seat. But when it came time to actually give birth, a little more tricky. But she was way too far to go back now. So she walked in. She gave birth completely alone, so brave, and then began posting pictures of her newborn, which turned out to be a hyper-realistic reborn doll, which, for anyone who doesn't know, these dolls can move, have facial expressions, and even pee and poo, and are often used as a form of therapy for those struggling with infant loss, dementia, or infertility. But they can set you back hundreds, if not thousands. However, eventually her family started suspecting that someone was sus. They never heard the child cry, they weren't allowed to touch it, and at this point, realizing that you'd have to freaking adopt a child, send it off to college if you wanted to continue this shit, she decided to call it a day by telling her boyfriend, the father, that the child died. Glad she let him down gently. But by that point, it was too late, and it all came out when her mother reportedly discovered the baby doll in her bedroom. Now, she has since apologized, saying, "You didn't deserve to be lied to like that. None of you did. Everyone who came to the gender reveal, all the people who gave me gifts or support. I just didn't know how to stop once I started. And to everyone I made look bad along the way, the dad and his family especially, I'm sorry."
Can I show you a scary video? The jump scare in this video got me, and that's why I want to show it to you, so slight trigger warning. It's a really old Japanese ghost video, so I really don't have any information on it, so I'm just going to show it to you. Here it is.
おめでとうございます。はい、OK。ちょっと上げたいくぞ。はい。ちょっと一発かましてや。はい。じゃあいきます。はい。はい。先輩、ご結婚おめでとうございます。さっきの佐々木が言ってたパン事件なんですけど、あれ別に俺が置いたんじゃなくて、佐々木がなんか、わかんないよ、別に置いときゃ、わかんないって言うから、俺置いたんで、別に俺が悪くないんで、あと、先輩なんですけど、3人で飲みに行った時に、先輩がトイレ立った時に、先輩の財布から2000円抜いてました。はい、それと、あと、これだけはちょっと言っとかなあかんなって思うことがあって、一番ちょっと俺が先輩に怒られた、の糸こんにゃく事件あったじゃないですか。あれ巻きつけてたの。あれが糸こんにゃく巻きつけたんじゃなくて、あれやったの新藤先輩です。はい。それだけ言えれば、俺は思い残すことはないので、ちゃんと、末永くお幸せに。おめでとうございます。あれどうしたそれと、嘘なんかいるちょっと開けて。なんかね、お前おらん
Here's why Princess Diana might have been killed by the royal family. So this is Princess Diana and her boyfriend. The two of them had been appearing in the press a lot for PDA, which broke the royal code. So the royal family did not like their relationship at all. Also, right before the car accident that killed them both, Diana's boyfriend was actually seen purchasing an engagement ring. The father of the boyfriend also said he spoke to Princess Diana during the night of the crash, and she told him she was pregnant. And right before Diana died, she wrote this note to her butler. It says that Prince Charles was planning her death by causing a car accident using a brake failure and serious head injury so that he would be able to marry his new woman. Now, the man responsible for the murder was the driver during the night of the crash named Henry Paul. He was actually a paid informant to the British Special Forces, and what's weird is that his bank statements show he was anonymously transferred millions of dollars right before the crash. Like for
Ghost stories from around the world. Malaysia, the Penanggal. Once there was a young girl who was bullied by a lot of people in her village. People would often say really mean and terrible things to her, like she had a face that only her mother would love. And that made her bitter and angry, especially towards married or pregnant women. One day when the bullying was especially bad, she finally broke down and went on a rampage, which resulted in the deaths of many pregnant women in her village. She was then obviously caught and brought to justice. The villagers and the families of the victims hung her by a really tall tree, then used a different piece of rope and tied her legs together, then tied the other end of the rope to a bull. When the bull was let go, her body was pulled out, leaving her head and her organs dangling from the tree. And that's how she became a vengeful spirit who floats around at night trying to find a pregnant woman to be her victim.
Canal 5 was absolutely terrifying, and if you lived in Mexico, you were warned to never turn Canal 5 at 3 a.m. At exactly 3 a.m., you would see like distorted faces, strange audio coming from the TV, and kids said that sometimes even the cartoons had the distorted faces, and everything was absolutely terrifying. Some even said when the TV was static, you can see like figures and even hear whispers coming from it, which, yeah, I couldn't have imagined how terrifying that was. And we all know that 3 a.m. is like the space where spirits and stuff come out, and parents even claim that supposedly when their kids would watch Canal 5 at 3 a.m., they would have nightmares and sleep paralysis for weeks. To this day, people claim that they experience the same thing over and over again, each one kind of similar, which is, you know, very scary. And if you know Canal 5, you know how scary and odd, like for example, when they made those weird Twitter posts? Yeah, no, you don't want that. So if you're scrolling at 3 a.m. and you come across Canal 5, just turn the TV off. You're not gonna win.
YouTubers' houses before and after fame. Phase rug. Before. After. Mr. Beast. Before. After. Logan Paul. Before. After. DDD. Before. After.
Let's talk about one of the scariest urban legends that actually turned out to be true. In the 1970s in Long Beach, California, there was an amusement park called the Pike Amusement, and inside this park was this creepy little fun house called Life in the Dark. Inside of Life in the Dark were a bunch of mannequins, and this urban legend started circulating around that all of them were fake except one. There was just something about this mannequin that turned people away. They said it was a little too human, and they even said that the area around it was just stanky. So flashing forward to a few years later, a TV crew comes in to film The $6 Million Man, and they decide to use Laugh in the Dark as one of their sets. So the director's trying to get the perfect shot, and this one mannequin that's been in question is in the shot, but he's just not liking how it's looking with it in it. So we ask one of the crew members to move it. So this crew member goes over, and when he tries to move the mannequin, its arm falls off. Inside is human bone. It's actually a mummified body. The body belonged to Elmer McCurdy, who was dubbed the bandit who wouldn't give up. He was an outlaw who was robbing a train in Oklahoma in 1911 when he was taken out by the police. His body was on display at an Oklahoma funeral home, but ownership changed and he got shifted around and around and around until he finally ended up at the Pike Amusement. And everyone thought he was fake until he was finally positively ID'd in 1976.
People are sending me creepy videos all the time. What
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
Sauce the boss, yo, Sauce the boss, of course. Simple sauce. Act on. Who else,
What
man?
was that?
Sauce the boss.
This is
man.
proof
Of course,
that we
Sauce.
weren't alone. Why does this mountain have stripes?
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to
It
King
was
Saul's
called
boss
mutton,
in the building.
and its size was approximately 600 feet tall. The legend is that a group of girls were out playing when they came across gigantic bears. To escape the bears, the girls climbed to the top of the summit and prayed to the Great Spirit. The Great Spirit heard their prayers and caused the rock to rise up from the ground out of the reach from the bears. The bears tried to climb up to get them and dug their claws in the rock to gain grip, but kept sliding down because it was too steep for them to climb. The bear's claws scratched the straight marks that are seen to this day.
Alam nyo ba ang tiyanak, aswang na baby vampire? Mag-ingat kayo kapag may narinig kayong baby na umiiyak sa gubat, sa kadiliman, sa bukid, kasi baka tiyanak ito, hindi baby. Ang tiyanak ay mga sanggol o mga sanggol o fetus na nilaglag, kaya sila ay galit at naghihigante. Pwede rin yung mga sanggol na namatay bago sila mabaptize. Ayon sa kwento, yung biktima may maririnig na umiiyak na baby sa gubat. Tapos yung biktima pupunta dun sa baby, tapos magugulat siya kasi yung baby magtra-transform into this monster. Tapos papatayin siya at kakagatin. Ang itsura ng tiyanak ay matalas ang ngipin, matalas ang tenga, patulis, tapos bloodshot red ang mata. Kaya mag-ingat kayo kapag may narinig kayong umiiyak na sanggol sa gabi. Baka tiyanak na yun. Tapos itong movie na ito, Tiyanak with Janice de Belen, ay isang popular classic Filipino horror movie. Maaring nag-originate ang Tiyanak during the Spanish time, Spanish colonization, para ma-inspire yung mga native or mga katutubong Pinoy na magpapaptize para hindi maging tiyanak yung mga sanggol nila. Kasi nabasa ko noon na yung mga aswangs, propaganda ito ng mga Spanish, yung mga pare, para ma-inspire tayo na huwag mag-pray sa mga babaylan or huwag tayo magsunod sa mga babaylan at mag-convert to Catholicism. But don't quote me on that.
This is by far the most terrifying urban legend because it's based on a true story. Back in the 1970s, there was a really creepy funhouse located in Long Beach, California, and it was called Laugh in the Dark. There were a bunch of clowns and fake mannequins in there, but there was one mannequin that stood out the most. This one looked like an actual human, and when children would visit the funhouse, they would say that that area where the mannequin was standing in smelled really bad. A few years go by, nobody does anything about that mannequin until this film crew arrives to Laugh in the Park. They turn the area into a set for their show, $6 Million Man, but that one mannequin, they wanted to move out of the way because he just didn't look right. He was like painted neon orange to glow in the dark, and they didn't want him there. So a crew member grabs the mannequin by the arm to move it out of the way, and the arm comes off. The arm is literally in this guy's hand, and he notices bone underneath the desiccated skin, like dried up skin. There's bone in there. So then they find out that that mannequin was actually a real human that was mummified by a mortician. His name was Elmer McCurdy, and he had passed away 65 years before this whole incident took place.
Talk about one of the scariest videos out on the internet right now. Today we're talking about the helicopter crash that was live streamed. This is 55-year-old Tang Fiji. He's a Chinese aviation influencer, and this is the actual video of him flying that day. Tang had 100,000 followers on the Chinese TikTok Douyin, and he goes live, and 1,000 people are watching him as he flies over Zheng County, China. He's flying in this single-seat twin rotorcraft helicopter. It's ultralight, and he purchased this thing for like $49,000. As he's flying along, the blades start to spin out of control, and as you see here, it plummets to the ground. And then not long after, a cloud of smoke follows, with it then bursting into an explosion. As a result of this crash, Tang was pronounced dead at the scene. Tang had successfully flown this helicopter at least twice, because 2 times he had flown and talked about having incidences with a faulty fuel gauge. He also claimed to have mastered the controls of this helicopter in just 6 hours of practice. I can't lie, this is a pretty crazy thing to see happen. Rest in peace to Tang, and as always, it's pretty scary.
These are scary urban legends that were proven to be real, part 1. Up first is the Candy Lady. In the early 1900s, children in a unnamed small town in Texas started to go missing out of nowhere. And every single one of the residents blamed it on the Candy Lady. The story says she would go around leaving candy on kids' windows, and she would eventually lure the children out with notes attached to the candy saying they will get more candy. The story started getting extremely popular when a farmer found rotten teeth in his farm and also a young boy's dead body with his pockets stuffed with candy. So if you live in Texas, you better watch out for the Candy Lady.
Sauce the boss, yo, sauce the boss, of course. Hence to the simple sauce.
This creepy video has already blown up all over the internet.
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only.
An arcade game out on the
Shout out to King Sauce Balls in the
nothing
build.
seems off. Then, at some point, a person in a clown costume steps out of a car parked behind her and carefully heads toward the girl. As he gets closer, the clown starts goofing around and chatting her up in that typical clowny way. He even hands her a quarter, so she got at the machine. The girl and the clown celebrate the win together, and that's when a second man in a clown suit gets out of the car. Now there are 2 of them, both messing with her head, feeding her cheerful banter, and handing over another coin for the game. It's all about earning her trust. The girl keeps smiling with the clowns, and then they suggest she come with them to their job at the circus, because there are way more arcade machines there. The clowns really pour it on, laying it on thick and slowly steering her closer and closer to the car. She believes them, because for a lot of kids, clowns don't set off any alarms. If anything, it's the opposite. Thankfully, a young woman standing nearby had been watching this whole scene for a while. She instantly sensed something wasn't right. At the very last moment, she managed to save the girl, stopping the clowns from pulling her into their car.
Do not watch this video at night. This will freak you out. In the photo behind me is a man named Cody. And while he was home by himself, he was starting to experience some very odd things. He was hearing noises, and it was pretty clear that he thought someone was in the house. And by the way, the footage that I'm about to show you was recorded by him. When he walked over to the bathroom, the lights were flickering. But not only were the lights flickering, but the faucet was on, so he turned the faucet off and left. At this point, Cody got pretty freaked out, so he went outside and called his wife and let her know what was happening. His wife insisted that he would stay outside. However, Cody decided to go back in and do some more filming. When he went back inside, the entire kitchen was a complete mess. Cupboards were open and things were thrown around, as seen in this photo. And this right here is the clip of him first walking in. When Cody watched this clip back, he saw something absolutely terrifying in one of the frames. This is the still frame. Can you see it? This is what he saw looking out from the corner of his daughter's bedroom door. If I were Cody, I'd be selling my house and moving out immediately.
These are the darkest videos on YouTube, and this is a massive trigger warning. At a Las Vegas home on the evening of July 21st, 2021, a disturbing event happened around 8 p.m. where a young lady had been working in her kitchen waiting for her husband to get home from work. It was around 100 degrees out that day, so she opened her window to let some breeze in, but this harmless act would lead to a terrifying series of events. Outside the home, a man had been wandering the neighborhood aimlessly before stopping in his tracks, and in front of him was the open window and a clear view of the woman inside. He then went up to the house and rang the doorbell, and the camera started to record.
Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions. Are you sure? What? Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell. I have a couple questions for you.
The man stands there ringing the doorbell and knocking at the door, repeating the same sentences over and over again. However, the woman inside has never met this man, and in fact, she'd never even seen him up until this moment. And to make it even more strange is that the woman didn't respond to the man at all, and was out of view as he was speaking through the door, and the phrases he was saying was not in response to anyone, and instead he was just speaking to himself. Fearing for her own safety, the woman inside did not answer the door or respond to him, leading the man to take things a step further.
Are you positive? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain?
The footage is super off-putting, and although the man seems to stay perfectly calm, there was something very aggressive about the way he was speaking. But as the man begins to walk away, the woman's husband, who was still at work, chimes in through the doorbell, which will lead to the man revealing why he was ringing the doorbell.
So who are you? What? Yeah? Are you sure? Who are you?
Who else, man? Sauce the boss, man. Of course, Sauce.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Back on. Who else, man?
What I'm looking for is
Sauce
girl
the
that's in the
boss,
office.
man. Of
Come here,
course, Sauce.
Because I'm going to her in. You have her open the door? You're going to the door that's on the other side of this door. She lets me in.
It was no secret what he was planning now. He literally says it, even revealing that he had weapons to make it happen.
I want to rip her. I have a knife and a gun. Yeah, and I just want to knock on the door again.
If that woman opened the door, or if the door was unlocked, well, we all know what would have happened. But thankfully, that situation did not play out, and the man walked away muttering the same phrases over and over. Police were then called, but the man wasn't found. The woman then posted the clip, and it soon went viral on YouTube, and a day after the video was posted, a viewer recognized the man walking in another neighborhood. And after the police were called, the man would be arrested. And when asked for his name, the man said the Holy Spirit, though his real name was
you when the mood is right. This is what was right, cause we out here. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out here. And my team always getting that green. Yeah, cause we out here. We out here. Yeah. We ain't the vicious type, but we got plenty of toys.
If anyone ever downplays the sacrifice and risk of childbirth, children
I woke up from the coma 7 days later. My hand was still attached, but it was completely black and just blistery. My 3 fingers were black as well, and then my foot to my ankle area was black. After I woke up from my coma, I had to get the rest of my amputations done.
So this woman gave birth to her 3rd child, okay? Everything was good until she was 4 months postpartum and she ended up getting mastitis, which I had no idea what this was before hearing her story, but it's this painful swelling and infection of a woman's breast tissue, which is usually caused by blocked milk ducts while breastfeeding. So basically, no milk was coming out, and so she got mastitis, which then formed into an abscess. Then that abscess ruptured into her bloodstream, which caused her to go into septic shock. Then once she was in septic shock, doctors needed to place her into medically induced coma for 7 days. When this poor woman woke up from the coma, her breast was removed and her leg, foot, hand, and fingers were black, and they needed to be amputated. And I get it, the odds of someone getting their limbs amputated from this are very low, but still, this just adds on to the list of things I should be worried about when having kids.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Part 26. Atoms are 99% nothing, which makes us 99% nothing as well. Also, if you come in contact with someone or something, you're not actually touching them. You're simply sensing the repulsion between your atoms and theirs. You can get bed bugs from moving
man. Of course,
In 1386, a French pig was publicly executed for the murder of a child. The pig was given full legal representation and provided human clothes for the trial. A 7-year-old South African girl is more likely to be raped than to receive an education. In the 1950s, many babies in orphanages didn't cry very often because they knew their cries wouldn't be answered. Hans Langseth, the man with the longest beard in history, died when he tripped over it and cracked his neck. The maximum prison sentence in Brazil is 30 years, meaning that mass murderers like Pedro Rodrigues Filho, who killed over 100 people, are walking free today.
If you grew up in a Hispanic house or in Mexico, then you already know what Extra Normal did to our childhood, and that's why most of us love scary things. Honestly, it wasn't just a show, it terrified me. It was the most terrifying thing I saw growing up. Extra Normal started way back.
He wasn't sure how to react, so he just started recording. But I'm curious, what would you do in this situation?
About you, and it's no one else like you is what they're getting. Positive vibes only. Shout out to King Saul's boss in the building.
Sauce the boss, yo, sauce the boss, of course. Hence to the simple sauce. At on. Who else, man? Sauce the boss, man. Of course, sauce.
They buried her in 3 coffins, bound in chains, but the knocking never stopped. In 1791, Sister Adeline of Marseille began waking up with dirt under her fingernails. At first, the other nuns thought she was sleepwalking, but when they followed her one night, they found her standing in the cemetery, digging, with her bare hands. When asked why, she said, "They're calling me from below. I must answer." Her behavior grew stranger. She stopped eating, spoke to shadows, and during prayer, she whispered names that hadn't been spoken in centuries. One night, she collapsed mid-hymn. Her mouth opened, but it wasn't her voice that came out. It was dozens, crying, begging, screaming. The abbess ordered an exorcism, but every priest who entered her chamber came out, changed. One gouged out his own eyes. Another refused to speak ever again. They said something was inside her, not a demon, but a congregation. When Sister Adeline died, the church refused to bury her in hallowed ground. Instead, they placed her body in 3 nested coffins, bound in iron chains, and buried her beneath the abbey's stone floor. But the knocking started 2 days later, rhythmic, like nails on wood. It never stopped. Eventually, they sealed the room entirely, but the nuns still hear it. You can hear a voice beneath the floorboards whispering, "Let me out. They're still waiting."
Oh mein Gott. Das ist verrückt. Das ist verrückt. Krank. Ich weiß gar nicht, wie ich anfangen soll. Schaut mal meine Haare, die stehen, jetzt sogar die haben Gänsehaut. Ey, yo, halt euch bitte fest. Ich sage jetzt mit Absicht das Land nicht, aber ihr wisst, welches Land ich meine. Die laden Mädels ein, die Only for You machen, ne? Oder sich als Model betiteln oder was weiß ich. Fliegen, gehen rüber in das Land, ne? Gehen dann in solche Räume, ja? Wo dann mehrere Männer sind. Nicht nur Männer, anscheinend sogar Kamele oder andere Tiere. Lassen sich ankacken. Von jedem. Und noch ganz andere schlimme Sachen. Das dann halt für 30.000 bis 60.000. Dieses Mädel war anscheinend einer dieser Opfer. Sie wurde vermisst gemeldet für ein paar Tage. Sie wurde dann nach 7, 8 Tagen aufgefunden, irgendwo an einem Strand, mit Knochenbrüchen sein Vater. Arm gebrochen, Bein gebrochen, Wirbelsäule gebrochen und was weiß ich, Innereien. Ich habe mich die ganze Zeit gefragt, warum gehen diese ganzen Mädels nach diesem Land? Und es gab sogar Aufnahmen, so wo ein Kind im Hintergrund geschrien hat. Das waren so Minderjährige auf jeden Fall. Und bevor jetzt alle schreibt, ja, Islam, nein. Diese Menschen haben lange nichts mehr mit dem Islam zu tun, vor allem dieses Land. Aber was denkt ihr darüber? Folgt mir für mehr Videos.
I take a shower with my 14-year-old son, and I didn't expect him to do this to me. I'm a 37-year-old woman, and I know what you're thinking when you hear that. My 14-year-old son takes a shower with me, right? Well, I have a good reason for that. We share the same bathroom and bedroom. At first, I hesitated to admit this online because of the judge's looks and comments that I would receive from strangers. But here it goes. It all started 3 years ago when my husband suddenly left us without any explanation. It was a total shock. We had been married for more than 15 years, and he seemed happy until one day he packed his bags and disappeared. All he said to us was, "I'm going to buy milk at the gas station. I'll be right back." He never came back. The kids were devastated, especially my youngest son, Max. He clung to me more than ever, looking for comfort wherever he could find it. At night, Max would come into my room trembling with cold, asking for a warm blanket, and seeing him so vulnerable. So, gradually, Max got closer to my side and finally ended up sleeping next to me, sometimes even snuggling up to me. Over time, I began to notice that Max did not move away from my side during the day either. Whether it was showering or brushing his teeth, Max was always there, watching closely. I tried to ignore him, hoping he would get over that phase, like most teenage behaviors. However, as the days became weeks and then months, I realized that this was not going to disappear soon. One night, while I was showering, Max asked if he could join me. I asked him why, and he said that all the boys at school say that I have a level 9 gas. I don't know what that means, but at first I was surprised. I doubted, without being sure if it was appropriate or healthy. But seeing him so small and fragile, I knew deep down that I couldn't say no. And so our new ritual began. Everything was going well. Normal showers between mother and son until I dropped the soap, and now you can check if there's a second part by pressing share and more.
This was the most dangerous man to ever walk the earth, and somehow he was charming. In the 1930s, a man known only as Humongous was arrested for taking the lives of over 200 people using nothing but his thumb. Witnesses said he could crush skulls like glass, but what made him terrifying wasn't his strength, it was his mind. In 1934, he was captured and sent to prison. 2 days later, he escaped by flushing himself down the toilet. He crawled through the sewage system for miles, surviving on water. 67 days later, he was caught again, after applying for a job at the very same prison he'd escaped from. Officials transferred him to Philadelphia's Island Penitentiary, a fortress hundreds of miles from civilization. He was locked in the lowest cell, sealed away from every other inmate. Guards said they could hear tapping from inside his walls at night, rhythmic, patient, deliberate. Then in 1949, a tsunami struck, burying the prison beneath the sea. 5 years later, when the waters receded, investigators entered what was left. They found the remains of every prisoner and guard, except one. In the flooded basement, carved into the concrete, they found fresh thumbprints, still wet.
This woman decided to visit an unknown tribe with her friend, but what they experienced was so terrifying that it made the front page of all the local newspapers. Camilla, a young woman fascinated by exotic cultures, traveled with a friend to explore an isolated village, a place that doesn't appear on any map and that the locals avoid at all costs. What seemed like a simple adventure quickly turned into a silent nightmare. As soon as they arrived, they were surrounded by men of the tribe. All of them wore a strange smile, gently caressing Camilla's face, as if they were hypnotized by her presence. She tried to smile back, but something was wrong. Their gaze was intense, almost inhuman, and most disturbing of all, not a single woman was visible in the tribe. When they tried to leave, they realized she was no longer alone and no longer free. What happened to Camilla and her friend that night was so disturbing that the images sparked a wave of panic on social media, forcing the police to intervene. Do you want to know what they discovered? Which tribe? To see part 2.
Hello? What the actual fuck?
She came home after work and saw a package lying in the middle of her living room floor. Nothing unusual, until she realized the door was still locked. She lives alone, only she has the key. And the space under the door? Way too small for a box like that.
The boss in the building.
That's when the panic hit. Someone had been inside her apartment. She checked every corner, bedroom, kitchen, even the shower, trying not to freak out. Nobody. But that heavy feeling wouldn't go away. The feeling that someone had been standing right where she was standing now. For days, she'd noticed a figure outside her building. Same shape, same height. Always watching from a distance, but shrugged it off. Stress, overthinking. Her friend said the same. But now, seeing this package inside her locked home, she understood something terrifying. If anything ever happened to her, nobody would even look for the person responsible. For the next few days, she barely slept. She double-checked every door and window, whispered quiet goodbyes to her family just in case. Because deep down, she felt one thing. Whoever left that package might come back.
This little girl went missing, and 20 years later, the police make a horrifying discovery. In 1995, 6-year-old Sophie went to school like normal, but that day she just never came home. Years went by, and nobody knew what happened to the little girl. So her friends and family finally came to the realization that she was gone. Well, 20 years later, an anonymous letter was given to the police saying that the missing girl's family had a secret. Intrigued by the letter, the police rushed to the family's house. They showed them the letter and then asked to search their property. The family agreed, so they searched the house, but they just couldn't find anything. But on the way out, they saw something very peculiar. At the end of some stairs was a door that was padlocked shut, and when the family refused to open it, they broke it down and made a horrifying discovery. Part 2's on a new video sharing app called Flash. Press the link in my bio if you want to see what they found.
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through.
My life, son.
I nutted in the gun.
It's his birthday. Everybody wish him happy birthday.
Oh, this is big right here, y'all. Everybody wish Sauce, the official boss, happy birthday, man. Let's go. Let's see it in the timeline, huh?
Lotto get caught by them flicking lights. I pray I make it every day and every freaking night.
The wish Sauce.
Oh man, we're back once again.
I like the wish Sauce the boss.
You feeling down? Just
a happy birthday.
Get you a bag of that.
I like to give a big shout out to Hatchie Gorge. Somebody said Hatchie Gorge. Charlie Fields.
Fire, Mr. Head Can't greet him with two, only the third eye.
I like how that sounds.
ER in hospitals.
Okay. I like to give a big happy birthday to Sauce the
unconscious, flow riding on my train. Denzel, Chris Pine, unstoppable. Albert Einstein, imagination is more potent than knowledge. Therefore, I'm flying off the track. Extraterrestrial blunt, I got it on my lap. When I land Soul Train line, I forgot my dad. They fear what they don't understand. I forgive them cause they don't really know no better. Hope let them walk on water. I'm dancing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with a polo sweater. How bad do you want success? I was holding my breath unconsciously. The conscious me woke up and came up for air. I turned 136 to the boom, but ain't dancing with chops. I guarantee them in the dreams. Fire miss, Mr. Clean. Dirty talk, come shots.